Good evening. We're going to call to order the Cumberland School Committee meeting on Thursday, January 8th, 2026. And if we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We could just note for the minutes that Mrs. Vogel, our chair, is absent this evening. Okay, Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year. First on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Could I get a motion to approve? Motion by Mrs. Shea.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Feather. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it 6-0. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Approval of minutes of the regular meeting from 12/11/2025. The school bus inspection report for 12/3/2025. The transportation report from December 2025. Enrollment report from January 5th, 2026. And the residency and truancy report, January 5th, 2026. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Goldstein. Second by Mrs. Shea. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it 6-0. All right, moving on, report out of executive session. The report out of the executive session meeting tonight, January 8th, 2026. The report out of executive session votes, there were no votes taken. And vote to seal the minutes of the executive session. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Goldstein.
Second. Oh, sorry.
Second by Mrs. Feather. All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Oppose. That's 3-3, so motion to seal the minutes does not pass. Thank you. Moving on, Mrs. Dresik, to the personnel announcements.
Hi, good evening. We have one resignation this evening, effective 12/23/2025. Stephanie Vingy, the math interventionist at Community, 1 year only. We have two appointments, effective 1/5/2026. Taylor Lai, math interventionist at Community, 1 year only. Effective 1/7/2026. Nancy McEachern, paraprofessional success at BF Norton, and one coaching appointment as submitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Dresik. Superintendent's report, Dr. Thornton.
Good evening, Madam Chair. We have two items tonight. The first one, in your packet, you have the entire latest enrollment update from NESDEC. I'm just going to talk about two slides and one correction I want to make for the record. Mike, if you could hit the first slide. So in the packet, I like these bar graphs. The first one gives you historical, right, 2015 to current. You can see we are going up, and we're trending up a little bit all that while. The next slide, though, shows you what they think the next 10 years will bring, and that would go up again. And if you look at in the packet, it breaks it out, K8, K5, and you'll see they talk about over 100 kids coming in elementary over the next many years. So certainly building BF does make sense if we gain 175 seats, as you recall. So we will need these seats. So we are trending up. Every year, there's a plus or minus with their projections, but they're usually pretty good. Right now, just in terms of numbers, if you're tracking it right now from this year over last year, we're plus 30 kids right now. Next year, they see a larger number, as you can see here, from 4782 to 4907. So that's going to go up. One correction for the record, if I could, on page 10 of your packet, just in case anyone reads it at home, or if you guys are peeking at it, I think NESDEC had a category I want to correct. It talks about on that page a number of kids that are CTE or non-public K-12 like LaSalle, let's say, right, or choice out, like say a BVP. But the category that says K-12 out-of-district SPED, that's incorrect. That's what we call School 190. That's GED, homeschool. Certainly special ed out-of-district, we have 20 out-of-district special ed, not 245, 20. So it's important to note that. So once again, GED, certainly hospitalized, all the School 190 categories, homeschoolers, that's the 245, just to clarify that. So I'll be sure to tell NESDEC they have to kind of, I think, change that coding. I didn't pick that up last year, but that's a mistake. So with that, I have one more item for my report, but I have the Colliers experts here tonight for a later agenda item, so I thought I would lean on them to talk about BF Norton while they're here. So, Colliers team.
Good evening, committee members. This is the first time you're seeing me speak up here at the podium. My name is Patrick Demore. I'm with Colliers Project Leaders, and I'm a project manager, and I'm assisting Anne Marie on this wonderful project.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name's Anne Marie Andrade, Senior Project Manager at Colliers. So this evening, we'd like to provide a construction update on BF Norton Elementary School. Construction is underway, as you know. Here are some photographs that are just showing some of the entrances, a lot of the site work that we're doing, earthwork, foundations. We're also actively working on interior foundations, damp proofing. We have our loop road in place, if we want to look through some of these items here. So you could see in a few of the photos that are being shown, we have a lot of rebar reinforcement, working on our foundations, the damp proofing along here with the concrete. This is our loop road, so we're very excited to have this in place and excited for the upcoming months to assist with the traffic on Broad Street, getting cars off of Broad Street onto the site if there's parents that are coming to pick up and or drop off their children. We can have them safely off the road and coming in here and utilizing this loop road. So we're very excited for that. Patrick's going to review the new circulation plan. The principals are communicating this to all of the parents at BF Norton Elementary School, as well as printing out these diagrams for everyone to make sure that they know the new plan that will be in place starting on Monday, January 12th. So Patrick?
So the diagram that you see up here is what is planned to be mailed out to the parents in both an English version and a Spanish version of this. And the focus of this particular diagram is the path and the direction that the pickup parents will follow in order to pick up their students. So it has been requested and collaborated with the police department that this is the plan that they approve, where cars will come in a right turn only direction from Broad Street, enter around the loop road here, and eventually get to the pickup and the drop-off area that you see at the end of the loop road, and then the exit right turn only onto Broad Street again. And this brings many of those cars off of Broad Street so that it is not so backed up, as you've probably seen many times, and keeps that circulation pattern hopefully flowing smoothly.
One other item just to note is the buses. So buses will continue to loop around the school. They are going to follow the same pathway as the cars. So it's one-way traffic instead of two-way. So we're excited that this will help minimize any safety concerns as well. And as Patrick mentioned, we worked with the fire marshal, the police chief, and all of their departments to make sure a fire truck can safely make those turns, as well as a full-size bus, and making sure this is the actual plan that they are recommending. I think that's all we have. Thank you.
Do we have any questions from the committee? I do have a couple of questions, if I could. So will there be signage on the roads about the one-way?
Yes,
So
there
it'll be
will.
the do not enters are all there in place already?
Correct. There will be signage all the way around the road. So we have a number of signage saying one-way traffic, no turn only, right turn only, stop. There'll also be flaggers on site too, particularly at that intersection where the buses will be meeting with car pickup over in this area. So we'll have a flagger at that location, as well as flaggers at the exit and entry, along with a police detail to help reinforce this circulation plan.
So when the buses pull in, they're going to be pulling in, but then going directly behind the school and not through the loop. Is that correct?
That's correct. And the students for buses will now stack in the gymnasium, and they're closest to the door where the buses will be. So that's located right in this area.
And then if there are parents picking up or emergencies, I mean, obviously, parents go in and out, pick up students that are sick or anything like that. Do they have to go around the full loop, or are they going to that gymnasium door as well?
So parents for pickup for emergencies, police had advised us those few parking spaces right at the curb at the front of the building, they can utilize that for emergency pickup for, 10 to 15 minutes, put your hazard lights on there, as well as stopping right in front of the front of the building.
And are there going to be signs there that say that it's a 15-minute or something like that for pickup? Because we know that there's a lot of people that live on those streets as well and park on Broad Street.
Right, we can speak with police to see if they can enforce that, but as far as the signage on the street, I believe, that's kind of, we can probably put something there, yes. So.
Mrs. Feather?
And that's only going to be a temporary issue, right? Because when this is open and BF Norton comes down, there's going to be that parking right in front.
That's correct. So this is temporary until we, get through this phase.
Cool.
And once this is fully complete, parents, parking, the buses will all have their own designated area, and it will be much smoother.
Excellent, thank you.
And we expect that the road, it's going to be able to, what we've paved is going to be able to withstand the traffic and all, and plowing and things, because I know I saw like one of the raised utilities on part of that road. I wasn't sure if there's any concerns with anything. Shouldn't be any problem getting it all cleared out.
No
And-
concerns, no concerns at all. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you both so much for coming.
Thank you.
Were there any questions for Dr. Thornton on the NESDEC enrollment projections? Dr. Thornton, if I could just ask, could we get an analysis done? I know that this NESDEC report comes to us every year, which I think is great, and it certainly helps us to utilize what's happening in light of the town continuing to grow as well, and where we know we're going to have problems in the next 5 to 10 years that we have to look at. Is there a way to get an analysis of what NESDEC had originally given us as a proposal and what we hit, for like going back over the time? So if we look at the last 5 years and
Do you mean
their
how
reports.
close were they in the last 5
Yeah,
years?
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be just something interesting, I think, for us to see if we are pretty close, and it kind of gives a gauge of where we need to go and how quick we may have to go at looking at how we expand in this town. Okay, moving on, reports of the standing committees. The Fiscal Management Subcommittee did meet early this evening. We do have 3 resolutions and payment of the bills, obviously a little bit of a quiet month with the holidays and everything, so that wasn't too bad. And, we did go over some things. The heating calls with the facilities have gotten less. I think the training of how to work the heating systems has gotten much better with the teachers, so thank you to Will and his team for taking care of all of that for us. There was a boiler issue at Ashton School with one of the new boilers, but because it was under contract still from the construction, that was immediately tended to as well, so that's back running without any problems. All right, moving on, Policy and Procedure Subcommittee, Mrs. Feather?
Policy and Procedure Subcommittee has not met yet in the new year, but we're looking at meeting within the next couple of weeks to just start to review a few of the different policies that we're looking at for this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have an update for the Achievement and Subcommittee?
The Achievement Subcommittee has not met since the new year. We have some February dates compiled. More information to follow on at the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Bacon. And the District Health and Wellness Subcommittee, Mrs. Shea?
Yep, we actually met earlier this evening. Mr. Crowley had shared with the committee that today, him and also 8 students from the district attended the Kyle Care Summit that was hosted at RIC. Kyle's Cares is a nonprofit organization that focuses on improving mental health support for teens and young adults. Its mission is to prevent student self-harm as well as suicide by fostering school environments where students and caregivers feel safe, seeking help without stigma. Kyle Cares supports high schools and also colleges across New England by connecting them with mental health resources, as well as guiding them through long-term mental health strategies and funding school-based education awareness and suicide prevention programs. We also received a proposal from committee member Kelly Moore for a webinar that would be used for the educators here in Cumberland, focusing on managing stress and burnout. This session would provide both, early intervention as well as restorative support, helping participants recognize the signs of burnout. So I'll go ahead and I'll submit that information also to Dr. Thornton as well as the rest of the committee, and we're hoping to meet again sometime in February.
Great. Any questions for any of the subcommittees? Okay, moving on, we're going to go into the old business, discussion and/or vote to authorize the superintendent to bind the committee to change orders up to $25,000 per change order on the current construction projects. Said authorization shall be granted through December 30th, 2026, unless renewed or terminated by the committee. Committee's pleasure for discussion?
I have colleagues here tonight to give you some insight before you guys take a vote.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
So just giving some background on the superintendent's approval for change orders. So previously, the original approval threshold was authorized for change orders to building committee. That was the $5,000. Any change order that exceeded that amount required a review and approval at building committee's scheduled meeting. So during the peak period of school construction activity, which was around 2022 to 24, work was underway and concurrent at Garvin, Ashton, and community elementary schools. Given the volume of work during that period, an effort to avoid convening the building committee multiple times each month, it was recommended that Dr. Thornton's individual approval threshold be increased to the $25,000. This adjustment was intended to reduce schedule impacts and keep the projects moving forward. Following the increase of the approval threshold, the process was as such. So the proposed change order that exceeded the $5,000, we would email that over to the building committee chair and the school committee chairs for review and approval. But then upon their approval, Dr. Thornton would authorize the change order so that the contractor could proceed and no delays will happen in the construction. From there, those same change orders would go on the agenda and be presented to the full building committee at the next scheduled meeting for review only. So that has been sort of the process and the reasons why, Cumberland has done many projects concurrently, and just with the volume of BF Norton as well, we're asking if that would also be approved so we can not expect any delays in our schedule.
And Madam Chair, the one thing I would add, if memory serves, it probably happened 2 or 3 times.
And there were several of us that were on the committee at that time, and I think we raised the same thing last time, and that was that there were multi-projects that were occurring. We did put that into place as an emergency, especially over the summer months, when it was a little bit more difficult to get people into a meeting or get a quorum. But it was, as Dr. Thornton said, only used a few different times. So, any discussion from any of the members? I motion to approve.
So are you motioning to approve, or
Do I have a motion to approve?
Yeah, motion to approve.
Second by Mrs. Feather for discussion. Any discussion? I do have a discussion on it. I do know why we put this into place. And it was done, there were a lot of change orders that were occurring. We really saw a lot of that too coming out with higher cost coming out of COVID and then the supply chain issues. I don't think that we're seeing those same things. As the chair of the fiscal subcommittee, I would urge that the wording on this get really put in so that it's only if a meeting could not get called or a meeting could not occur in an emergency situation. I'm not quite sure how we have it worded now. I just find that right now, and especially this is a whole school, I think that it's important that we understand and hear things and make sure that it's coming to us on the school committee, and that things aren't just happening between the building committee, because we've already had a disconnect once already going into this project. So I do have a big concern on having that occur again. So I'm not sure if we have the specific wording.
I don't know if I could provide a couple more updates to your concerns, and they're all definitely valid. So for BF Norton, so the other projects, they were addition renovations. So BF Norton is the first new construction. So the volume for this school is, very heavily. And we do have a couple of change orders coming in. One was an unforeseen condition, so that will be on the agenda for building committee. They found some underground things that could not have been planned for on the site in the soils. So that's something that will be communicated to the building committee and school committee. Colliers, it's our job to make sure the owner does not see change orders. So we're doing as much as we can in the background to make sure those are mitigated, and that we're not, having to go in front of the owner every time. So we're doing those due diligence and doing that work up front, but just want to communicate with you the volume for the new construction project.
Well, and there's two different parts. There's the building committee is who sees the change orders first. Once the building committee sees that, they're usually signing off on it, and then it comes to the fiscal and to the full school committee. In situations in the past, the building committee has foregone their vote and has sent it right to the school committee because of those timings, which is, I think, why we really haven't had to have the emergency times used. And if I recall correctly, 2 of the times it was used were during those summer months. So I'm not sure if there's a way that we can make an amendment to the wording so that it is in the case of an emergency in which the school committee cannot call an immediate meeting.
And Madam Chair, also, I think sometimes when folks think of change orders, they think of going over budget. I think in many of these cases, it'll still be inside the guaranteed maximum price. It could be from this bucket to that bucket, but it's still inside your number. It's just moving money around or taking a reserve, that kind of thing. It's a change order, but it wouldn't exceed the GMP, just so you know, it's not like we're adding money onto the project.
There's no guarantee of that, though. Right. There's,
Absolutely not.
right.
But correct.
That's like, it's nice that that's the goal, and I know the goal is to always have everything done, so there's
Right.
not an emergency.
Understand the other projects we did, that was the case, and so far, the ones that we're talking about here, that's the case again. We have currently, today, nothing exceeding the GMP.
So, I guess, Mr. Adams, is the wording on this right now exactly how it's written here? That's what we're going to do? That's what the vote is on, right? Just this specific wording? There's no other additional documentation? This is the specific wording?
I'm assuming that the motion that was made by, I believe, Mr. Dean and then seconded by Ms. Feather was this, which is authorize the superintendent to bind the committee to change orders of up to $25,000 per change order on current construction projects. Said authorization shall be granted through December 30, 2026, unless renewed or terminated by the committee. That's the motion that's been made and seconded.
So, I think that, in part of what has made me, I know, change my mind on this, because this was one that I had concerns about before, was the unless renewed or terminated by the committee. We have the ability to come back and terminate this if we also decide. Is that the case? That is the case, right? Yeah. So that's why, thank you for that lawyerly insight. You're very good at that. Thank you.
I would like to propose an amendment to this, which I know that we can do during this part of it. And that is to, when we're reading this, to bind this committee, to the superintendent to bind the committee to change orders of up to $25,000 per change order on current construction projects. I would like additional wording here to add in cases where the school committee is unable to secure a meeting for a vote, like so that it's emergency only.
Would that be building committee and school committee? 'Cause typically, they'd go to the building committee first, then the school committee.
Right, so the building committee, we don't really control. So the school committee itself, we don't have a vote, we don't control that vote on the, so the building committee is going to do that with you on a different level. That is their choice. I'm talking just, this is strictly for the school committee. So I'd like to make a motion to amend, and I let the legal wording get worked out there on how to be emergency.
The purpose of this is to avoid delays, right? So maybe the verbiage should be, if the committee can meet soon enough that it won't, that the construction will not be delayed.
And that was the gist of it to begin with. That's what we originally had into place all along, and the thought to when we put it into place was just exactly that. We don't want to delay anything. However, I don't think that giving a carte blanche as well without that specific wording. So I would like to make that motion to amend as stated between yourselves and Mr. Dean.
Yeah, I'd like to revoke my motion to approve and then second the motion to amend. Okay, I'll second the motion to amend.
The only thing that I'll say, and there may be a further amendment, is that, are you guys going to then say, why didn't you call for an emergency meeting? Or are you going to have an emergency meeting to make a vote, and then you can't get a quorum, and then the superintendent gets to bind you? Like, what is that process going to be
That is
like?
exactly what's happened in the past. The change order has come in, and that's what precipitated the whole thing. The change order has come in, and it has gone to the fiscal chair and to the school committee chair, and a joint meeting is typically called when there's a change order that's happening in emergency. If that meeting cannot be called in, or if there is something that needs to immediately be approved on site, then that's what Dr. Thornton will have the right to do.
So I guess we're talking at cross purposes. What I'm asking you is, are you expecting when a change order comes in that may or may not be an emergency, I don't know what that means, that the superintendent will first find out whether the committee can hold an emergency meeting within the next 2 business days or whatever period of time, and if they can't, then because that just requires a lot of the administration. That's the reason I'm suggesting it. I don't care, but that does require something. It's fine, but that's, as long as they understand that that's what the rules of the road are for them. Is that what the committee is intending by this amendment? It sounded like it to me, but Mr. Dean, but I want to make sure that everybody is clear on that.
Yeah, I think, like Ms. Smith was saying, the example she gave was unforeseen soil conditions. And if that change order needs to be made to proceed with the digging and the next day they're going to pour concrete, then obviously that's something that we will not be able to meet before. But if there's something else that they can shift off to another thing, and then we can meet on it.
That's great. Like I said, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just making sure that everybody on this dais is clear, including the person who might be implementing a change order, that he knows what his guardrails are. So that's why I said it. There needs to be a vote to amend on that.
Okay.
We can have further discussion.
No, I'm going to do an individual vote so that we can keep it clean. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Bacon, yes?
So before we move forward anymore, I need to recuse myself from this vote because I'm hearing that there's going to be there will be change orders for soil conditions, and as stated before, the company that I work for is involved in this, and I'm recusing myself from any vote pertaining to these change orders.
Thank you, Mr. Bacon. Okay, if I can do a roll call vote on the approval as amended, Ms. Shea?
Can that just be explained to me one more time? I'm sorry. I got lost in like the amendment and all that stuff.
So as I understand the concept that the amendment embraces is if there is a change order that is really something that can't wait, and is within this threshold of limit, I think it's $25,000, the superintendent authorizes it. If there is something that can wait, then the superintendent needs to sort of ask the committee, can we have a meeting on this, or can it be in the regular course of meetings like this one? Or if it's something that's between the regular meeting and, oh my God, we've got to do this now, the committee needs to be consulted if there can be an emergency meeting. If there can't be, then the superintendent's going to have to make the call. That's the way I understand this concept.
It's to allow the communication to be fully open as well.
I mean, I do believe that the communication has been very well presented to us myself as a committee member. I do have a lot of faith in Dr. Thornton's decisions when it comes to making the best decision for our schools and our students, and I know Colliers is a great asset to this project, but I'm going to have somebody else make their decision first because I'm undecided right now.
Okay, Mr. Dean?
Yes.
Mrs. Feather? Yes.
So I too have complete faith in both the parties working. I don't have a problem with the amendment, which is why I'm voting yay. But I don't necessarily think we need it, but I don't have a problem with it, so I'm voting in the affirmative.
Thank you. Mrs. Goldstein?
I agree with what's been said by Ms. Feather and Ms. Shea, but yay.
And the chair is voting yea as well, and I do have complete faith as well. And we'll go back to Mrs. Shea.
I'll put a motion for that as well, yes.
Okay, so the amendment passes 5-0. And now we go back and on the motion to approve as amended, if we can take a vote on that, and based upon everything I'm hearing, I'll just do an open one. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Okay, next on the agenda are comments from the public. Do we have anybody from the public that wishes to speak? No? Thank you. All right, on to new business. Discussion and/or vote to approve homeschool instruction request. I don't believe we had any in the folder. Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I missed it.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Feather,
Second.
second by Mrs. Goldstein. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, 6-0. The next one is discussion, here we go with my wording again. Discussion of petition for declaratory relief and I can't say it, Steve. Compensatory damages filed with the Rhode Island Department of Education by Warwick School Department against 15 LEAs to CTE payments. It's ride number 25-074 A, if Mr., I can't even think, Mr. Adams could give us an update on this?
Just, this is on the agenda. This is really kind of a wonky sort of a case, but the big picture for sort of the public is that the Rhode Island General Assembly has instituted statutorily this process where kids all over the state of Rhode Island can attend CTE programs. Cumberland has a CTE program, as you guys all know. Public knows too, probably. And kids can attend Cumberland CTE program who are Cumberland residents, and so can residents of other towns come to Cumberland. By the same token, Cumberland kids can attend the CTE program in Cumberland. They can go to other towns. So this case has been brought by the Warwick Public Schools about how the payments are calculated. In general terms, if a kid from Lincoln, for example, comes to Cumberland, Lincoln pays Cumberland for that kid to come here, and the reverse would also be true. Kid goes from Cumberland to Lincoln, hypothetically, Cumberland would pay. So this case is about how that payment is calculated, and there's a statute that talks about it, and there seems to be a disconnect between how that has been interpreted and how it has been implemented. So the first part of this case is something only a lawyer could love. The lawyers are going to dig into the statute and provide the Rhode Island Department of Education with briefing on how that statute should be interpreted. And then after that statute is interpreted, there'll be a second part of the case in terms of what the impact of that interpretation is. But that's A, step 2, and B, we have no idea what step 1 is going to yield. So right now, we're just in step 1. We're trying to determine or the Rhode Island Department of Education will be trying to determine what the statute requires and how it should be implemented. So that's what's going on. I anticipate that the Rhode Island Department of Education, I'm hopeful that the deadlines that are in an order on this, which is sometime in April or May, that this will happen then, but you never know in litigation. I've been doing that job long enough to know that things tend to go a little slower sometimes, but I'm cautiously optimistic that there'll be a decision on how this statute should be implemented this year. That's it. That's all I have.
Great. Do we have any questions from the committee? No? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Moving on, discussion and a vote to approve resolutions. There are 3 resolutions this evening. I am going to take them individually. The first one is SCPR 12-2025-155, Flock Safety Platform Tucker Field Renewal for the Flock Group. This was discussed in fiscal, and it did not pass on vote, and I'm opening this to the committee. Mr. Bacon?
Yeah, so I just have a question here. Why, first of all, why is this coming to, why are we responsible for a flock safety camera, something that the town is utilizing, or, well, the police department is utilizing for, like, Amber Alerts, Silver Alerts, and other issues? I guess, what is the purpose of the school utilizing this flock camera?
A couple of years ago, we were talking with the police department about coverage for that Tucker Field area, the parking lot. As Mike Chandler can tell you, to get a regular home run like line down there would be cost prohibitive. This was a way to get a point tilt zoom camera that we can also utilize when our kids are down there. Oftentimes we have issues in that parking lot. So 2 years back, that was the concept. We were going to pick up one for the 6,000. Town, I think, has 3. And I could be wrong on that number, but I'm not sure. But that was the idea, to give us coverage at Tucker. Without that camera, we have no coverage down there.
What exactly are we covering with this camera? These were only supposed to be intended for license plates.
I defer to Mike Chandler, our expert on that.
License plates for flock cameras were all on the main roads, egresses in and out of the town. Flock camera that we have is on school town property that monitors the parking lot as well as the field. It's not a plate reader. That one's not a plate reader. The one that's on the field house that's down there.
Okay. And so what are we monitoring, though? Are we monitoring people? Is this for facial recognition things? What exactly is the goal?
Just like the
here?
security cameras that we have around the building, we don't have a network connection that goes down to Tucker Field. Ideally, it'd be nice to get, fiber or something else run down to there. Is a town, the school department, the buildings that we have here are also owned by the town, so it's not separation of the two, but most of the events that take place at Tucker Field have all of our students on them. They park down there. They have activities after school down there. So it gives us the ability, just like we have cameras around the buildings throughout the district.
So if I can shed a little bit of light on this too, just from historical information about when we first started with all of this. As Mr. Chandler said, it was a way for us to get coverage down there because we cannot get coverage down there. So it's not something that's for facial recognition or anything like that. It was basically because we had a lot of break-ins into cars down there. And since we've actually, and I don't know the statistics, but I know that since we have put a camera down there, it has, the amount of break-ins that I've heard about at least have been drastically reduced. And so to me, it was, again, back when we first did this, it was a way in which we could get security camera coverage down there for a relatively inexpensive price.
Mrs. Goldstein?
Thank you. Just to ask Ms. Feather, so there is currently a flock camera, currently a camera down in Tucker Field?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Dean?
Yes, so I believe I mentioned it before, I'm not sure if it was an open, but I was at the council meeting where they approved the flock cameras, and I went back and watched the council meeting, and they had Chief Benson up, and the council persons were very concerned about the fact that maybe there was going to be some overreach, and they pretty much insisted, and I'm not sure if there was a ordinance that was compiled out of this. I know it went to ordinance subcommittee, but I'm not sure if they actually compiled an ordinance that said it was only to be used for plate reading, but the council persons were very adamant that it only be used for plate reading. And they were also very concerned about privacy issues, and the police chief said that there was only going to be accessible to police personnel, and that it was going to be a very, very rapid dumping of the information so that it couldn't be used incorrectly. So my concern is that, much as you had the concern about the building committee, that we can't make decisions for the building committee, really that we don't have the jurisdiction to, for lack of a better term, to approve the use of a flock camera that was pretty, adamantly, I would say, controlled or curtailed by the town council.
Yes, Mrs. Feather?
And to follow up on that, this is a question, I think that the question is coming from the fact that it's a flock camera and not just a camera. Is that where most of this concern is, or is it also, just because I'm trying to understand, we've had a camera down there to prevent break-ins, to prevent, and also to help with accidents and different things that happen down there. Is this, I think that are we opposed to flock, or are we opposed to camera? That's what I'm trying to ask the rest of the committee.
Mr. Bacon?
So for me, I guess my question is, who has access to this camera? Is it just us, Mr. Chandler?
Myself and the police department.
Okay. So now, in the event that this flock camera could be utilized for something else, a different investigation, totally have nothing to do with the school department, right? With the students or a game or something to that nature. My problem is, if we're going to rope in our camera system with a different investigation that the police department is having, and there is a potential lawsuit that comes out of that, are we going to get roped into that because technically we are involved? Now my question goes to you, Mr. Attorney Adams. do we now get roped into that lawsuit because technically we also have access to that? Say if there was a privacy violation of a facial recognition thing, right? I know that's a big thing with these cameras. Is there a chance that we could be responsible and brought into that?
So the answer I'm going to give you, and I'm sorry if I have a smile on my face, it's a
No, I
serious
get it,
question
yeah.
and it's a legitimate one, but you can always be brought into any lawsuit, of course, and the question is whether there's a merit to it. I haven't done any legal research on the question of whether a camera that is recording something that is in a public space really even implicates a privacy issue. I just don't know the answer to that. It might, but I don't know the answer to it. But whether you can be sued, yeah, I guess so. I guess a bigger question is, I mean, I'm assuming that there's probably some safety things and some, generically, there's also the flip side of that, which is not worrying about someone's privacy and worrying about the safety and making sure we're recording a perpetrator who has accosted or assaulted or harmed a student in the parking lot. So I'm not sure that creates a liability for the school department if there isn't a video, but it might be nice to have that. Just thinking practically, right? But I haven't looked at that issue, but you can always be sued and you would probably be brought to the party if there was a party on like some sort of a Fourth Amendment search claim, like that it's tantamount to a search that you're recording my body when I'm walking through Tucker Field or of the parking lot. Maybe that would be the claim.
Mrs. Shea?
Just to answer, Mrs. Feather asked the question, I didn't get the answer, that my opposition is not to the cameras. I think there should be cameras. It's just the fact that it's a flock camera, and I do think it is pretty expensive for what we get for it.
My concern about the cameras, I mean, personally for me, because I've witnessed multiple times with employees of the school department that are through the transportation department particularly, almost be hit by vehicles when they're crossing our students. So there's a lot of dynamics where cameras should be used, but they're not, because they're not in the school zones, and they're also on main roads. So I feel that kind of, cover all of our bases, is keeping the flock safety platform, whatever, down at Tucker is in our best interest. And I'm only thinking of the broader situation when I've witnessed crossing guards almost getting hit by vehicles and there's no cameras in sight and we don't have time to write down license plate numbers after these things happen while we're crossing our kids. And I understand everyone else's thought process when it comes to people's privacy and all those things, but I also think too is ultimately the bigger picture that I see is down there for a safety issue. In the event that there's an assault, in the event that there's a burglary, in the event that there's a vandalism, somebody is able to be held accountable. And I understand also too the thought process when it comes to like the legal end of things. In the event that there was a lawsuit or whatever the case may be, I just think that's in the best interest to keep it the way that it's at.
To answer your question as well, Mrs. Feather, when the flock cameras got put in, then this got put in additionally. So while it was all part of a larger picture, this is individualized, our contract with the school department on town property for something to do with the town. It's not a case of what should be the right security or anything like that, but because our cameras at our schools are controlled within our schools, if the police needed to look at something, they would be coming in to look at our films, and this camera feeds directly to the police, so it can be used for other things without us even having that, but yet it's under our name, but on the town property. So my concern there is, why isn't this with the police in their flocks, or why isn't this with the town? If they wish to continue and feel that it needs to be maintained, why aren't they taking this up?
Two thoughts. First, I know your last comment, Mike, help me with this if I could. I know with construction at Garvin, we did do a fiber optic cable to complete the network, right, to go from Garvin to the police department. So in actuality, you know, if there's a crisis, they're not going to come over and ask permission to look at our cameras. They can see our cameras. There's no one at the police department watching our cameras, but we have fiber running to the station now for a full network. That was completed with Garvin, got fixed. My other thought was, though, you know, given the Brown tragedy and the cameras or lack thereof, I would hate to have no coverage down there. So I know it's 6,000 is a lot, but it'll also cost a lot to run fiber down there, so I would recommend you keep the flock camera.
Mrs. Feather?
Dr. Thornton, I was going to say something similar, where I'm very concerned that if we decline this, right, if this resolution doesn't pass, my question would be, do we have, like, effectively tomorrow, do we have no coverage down there? We need coverage down there. You know, again, mentioning the Brown tragedy, we need to be able to make sure that we are covered so that we can actually mitigate tragedy, or at least identify folks after the fact. So if it means that we will not have any coverage with any kind of cameras down there if we do not pass this, then I would have really, really grave concerns. The other piece is that perhaps maybe this year we can take a look at other camera options and price out what it would be to run a fiber optic line down there. But I think that it's an absolute necessity that we have camera coverage down there.
And I believe I read in the Valley Breeze today, too, that with the ADA and all the work that was done with the ADA with the town, that Tucker Field is a high priority for adjustments and things, and I don't know all the numbers because I know I saw 2.1 million. I don't know if that's all of the ADAs in the town or if that was just related to what they wanted to do over the next 5 years. The town is looking to do that with the high school and with Tucker Field being the first priority. So, you know, I know the mayor hasn't weighed in on this yet. He was going to see how we wanted to approach it. And I would think at this time it should be with our town council, since it is the flock camera connected to the flock system that is run by the town itself on the town property. I think that this is better suited for them to make that decision and not for us to individually do it when it's connected to something that we have one camera, $6,000 for one camera.
But are we using it?
Right now, everybody is using it. We have it and the police have it.
The police department is actively using our flock camera, and we are actively using our flock camera? Mr. Chandler?
It's recording at that time, so they have access to it. In the event that they have a problem, they track somebody, then they would have access to it.
Have they been accessing it?
It's been accessed because we've had issues that they've been involved with, as well as our deans have been involved with
Right.
other things that we've had to review footage on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's something that's there, it's something that's useful. If we decide not to do it, then I'll let them know, they'll be turned off tomorrow, so you will not have coverage. When we did look at it a year and a half ago.
When's the contract end? Did the contract just end?
Yeah, we're on extension right now, just because it wasn't voted on in the last meeting. So at that point, it would be terminated. So, you know, when we originally looked at it, there wasn't a lateral that we could connect to. So with some of the recent fiber work that we completed this year, I believe that we could work with a vendor, but again, those things take time in order to get coverage down there. So, I mean, it could be something that you could look forward to. We can get some additional pricing now that there's a fiber lateral that was installed over the past year out in the front, and then see what the additional cost would be to bring it down there. Whoever pays for it, I mean, we can get pricing, we can get quotes and do all that, and you guys can hash that out with the town. But that would be something that we could work towards versus just abruptly cutting any site that we have with the building.
Thank you.
So this contract ended in December? And it was brought to us in December? Is that correct?
They were late getting us the quote for the renewals because they auto-renew it. We didn't make a decision whether we were cutting it or not. So when it had come up, when we were looking through any of the purchase resolutions, we noticed when it was, and they had sent it to us. So, yeah, you had a couple weeks before it was expiring at that point.
So they're amenable to extending it, so then they should be able to extend it while the town council looks at this?
They could. I mean, that's
I mean,
something
they
that we
came
would
to
have
us
to.
late.
That we would have, well, I don't, that's neither here nor there on that, but I think we could have that discussion with them. I mean, I think they've been pretty reasonable about working with us on this, so I don't anticipate that being an issue, but I can reach out to them and ask them anything that you would like.
Any other questions? Oh,
Realistically, there's going to be a 0% chance that I think any of us are going to sit here and say that we don't want our schools to be 100% safe, especially at the amount of $6,000. Under no circumstance will I ever vote down something that will put jeopardy of our children's safety. I'm going to motion to approve this, but I believe that we, at our upcoming joint meeting with the town council, we need to discuss this, ways of how to move forward with this, ways where we can meet in the middle, and also we need to vow that we will look at different ways of getting surveillance down there and better ways that we can keep all of our children safe. That's where I'm at.
that was a motion made by Mr. Bacon,
And I'll second that. I agree with that, Mr. Bacon.
second by Mrs. Feather. With discussion? Mrs. Goldstein, did you have something to add?
No, it was just an agreement with everybody. This is a safety issue, and I am for approving this.
Mr. Chandler, do you feel that this could be a contract that would be allowable for a 6-month period or through the end of the school year? That we could do a short contract with them while we do have those meetings and while we do discuss this with the town?
Maybe they'll prorate us on what we've done with it. I'm not sure. I would have to reach out to them. I know that, based on their terms and agreements of what it is, they have a 30-day clause that's in there, but they also said that they've never seen it where, it's something's budgetary, it's not voted upon. They've approved the termination without any fees on us. So that's been the discussion that we had with the contractor themselves. We can reach out to them. Doesn't hurt to ask anything.
And this is annually,
It is annually, yes.
and so that means January through December now, each year.
Based on the original anniversary date when you guys first approved it, is what it was based off of.
Yeah, I like the idea of extending it to the joint meeting, or, just disapproving it maybe and asking the town council to amend their ordinance or I'm not even sure, like I said, I'm not sure if there was an actual physical ordinance, but I remember I rewatched the meeting, have the town council amend their thoughts, or, to have them say, yeah, okay, we'll approve this use of the flock camera, because I just think it seems to me that we're circumventing the town council. We're going to approve something that the town council, said they didn't want to do.
And my concern is about the way that it's tied in and who should really have ownership of it, because I would not like to see anything happen where it's being used for a crime and then something comes out and they find, as you said, the town council didn't vote on that, then there's a lawsuit, and then there's facial recognition, and then the school's involved because it's under, the picture's taken under the contract of the one camera we have. So I think that that's where my concern has been as well.
And I also have many of the same concerns, but when it comes down to it is, there's a 0% chance that we can't have these cameras and something, God forbid, were to happen, and it's because we disapproved it, because we don't agree with who's paying for the bill. Unfortunately, once again, these are the cards that we have been dealt. We should approve it, and we must sit down with the town council and come to an agreement. There's better ways to do this and accomplish and get this done. But our main priority here is to ensure the safety of every single student coming and going and when they are presently in school. You know, that is top priority. So, yeah, we will have this discussion at, when we have the joint meeting, I think. I think it has to happen,
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good point and a very valid point. None of us want to shut it off for that reason, but at the same time, yeah, and Mr. Adams, maybe you can do some research on that for us. I'd love to know what the potential liability could be. It's our camera being used for potentially things that are not related to us. What could happen? And I don't know if there's a case out there right now, even with our town, and there's a concern with that, with the facial.
I haven't researched the issue of cameras generically, but I can tell you that something that's in public is generally not going to be a Fourth Amendment problem. We have cameras at our stoplights. They record us when we go through. We have cameras on the New York Thruway, which I learned since my son has been going to the Syracuse University, and I have been given a ticket. So those things are not problematic. I mean, generally. So the question is whether it's a search. I can't answer what somebody's going to be able to argue about any camera that you might have. I don't have a lot of, or actually any experience with flock cameras. I get the gist of what Mr. Dean is saying, that it can record it's kind of like what happened to me in the New York State Thruway, frankly. It can record your license plates so they can send you a ticket. So there are definitely issues that could be made, but I did a little bit of research when we were just talking about it, and it's generally what I'm seeing vaguely is these are not searches, so they don't violate the Fourth Amendment. What would violate the Fourth Amendment is if we set up a camera in front of 16 Eaton Road in Barrington, where I live, and they focused it on my house. And that may or may not be a search, but it is more likely a search than a camera that's outside of this building looking at this little parking lot, or a camera that's out looking at the parking lot up at the top, or something like that, or even cameras that are in the school department, whether we know we have, that surveil what's happening in the hallways and so forth. That there's not going to be generally a search component to that.
I could just clarify the town council, their concern was that it wasn't going to be the fact that the camera was in a public place. It was going to be the fact that somebody could access the information on the system, and they could track somebody's movements or cyberstalk somebody based on the fact that they held a grudge against them or something to that effect. And that would be the thing that they were trying to prevent.
So is this camera going to have a public feed or something? Where?
No, I mean, I think it was just, that's why they wanted to make sure that it was a restricted amount of people that had access to the information or the system, so that, because, I mean, there are people that would do something like that in every profession. I'm not saying there is anybody in the town, Cumberland police or in the town that would do that, but they just wanted to make sure that they minimize the risk of that.
Got it. And so that sort of a thing could be a claim which would be different than a Fourth Amendment claim, and that would be like any claim that you might face as a municipality or a company where one of your employees has gone off the reservation, for lack of a way of putting it, has done something improper. And that is always a legitimate concern in anything that you're doing as an organization. But I don't know the specifics on this particular flock concept, notwithstanding what the town council said. Generally on search, sure, there could be a claim, it could happen in theory. I don't think it's a particularly big risk, given that you're scanning a big parking lot, but that's my initial impression on it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on this, and Dr. Thornton, you will talk to the mayor or to Town Councilman, Council President Kinch, and make sure that we can have this discussion and see where we can align this.
I will mention it and make sure they have it on their agenda.
Thank you. Okay, so there's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. Then that's going to pass 5-1. Thank you. Moving on to the next resolution, SCPR 12-2025-160. This is the Gava Memorial Elementary School invoice from Collins. We had this on the agenda in December, and we had to table it. We did not have the full invoice. So this did get discussed in fiscal and did pass 2-0. So I'll open it up for discussion or motion to approve. I have a motion to approve by Mr. Dean and a second by Mrs. Feather. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, 6-0. And the next one is SCPR 1-2026-001. It's the BF Norton December invoice for AI3 Architect. And this did get discussed in fiscal and was approved 2-0, so I will give it to the pleasure of the committee. I'm sorry, was that a motion, Mr. Dean? Okay, motion and second by Mrs. Feather. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, 6-0. The last item is the discussion and a vote to approve payment of the bills. We had payment in the bills of $1,927,842.59. That was discussed in fiscal this evening, and that did pass 2-0. So pleasure of the committee. Motion by Mr. Dean and a second by Mrs. Feather. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, 6-0, so that does pass. Dr. Thornton, do we need to go back into executive session?
We do not.
Okay. And that's in that. And can I get a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Bacon. Second by Mrs. Shea. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, 6-0. Thank you.